Hey, you're watching Late Night with Larry, and you're listening to Late Night with Larry, because we're on YouTube. We just want you to know that. And I'm here with my co-host Vince once again, and we're doing it for you. Vince, give him a shout out.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Glad to be here. Hope you're glad too.
That's right. So tonight we think we want to just, talk about things that we don't have a set trajectory as we have in the past, where we talk about Sasquatch, and our last one was about Randy's sighting of the Thunderbird. But tonight we just want to talk about a few things that that have been brought to our attention, but they do involve the big man, Sasquatch.
Yep, they do.
They do. So I was telling my brother, here a little earlier, I was on Facebook and I just saw a post, and I looked at the post, and it was someone up in northern New Mexico, where we're from, New Mexico, and they posted a picture of some canine prints. And it started getting out of control. The word was going that these are, Dogman's in New Mexico. And as we've said in our previous podcast, there's a difference between the Dogman and skinwalkers and whatnot. But I'm going to debunk this one. I looked at those prints in the picture, and yes, they were canine. They looked like they were bear prints. And as a bear walks, it walks on one, and it steps into a bear walks print on top of print.
Right. The hind feet step in the front print.
And that's what made the print look so big. So if anyone out there really knew what they were looking at, they would have been like, that's just a bear. So right. I hate to burst your bubble out there, people, but you posted it on Facebook and everyone got excited, but no, that's a bear. Right.
Now, before we get started further into this, we're both still got a bit of a cough, so we'll try not to cough into the mic.
Right.
Maybe a little cough syrup.
We've been through that, what you call it, coronavirus bullshit. So our lungs ain't what they used to be. I mean, if I take my Viagra, I'll still do what I got to do. But oh, bum, bum.
There you go. Cheers to you.
To you.
I swear.
Oh, I love that stuff.
This is better than Apple.
It is. Anyway, we're going to lead it off. And I was thinking, I saw that post I just told you about
right.
them thinking it was a Dogman. But no, in this part of the country, we do not have Dogmen. We do have skinwalkers.
Right.
The legend goes, but we're predominantly with the Thunderbird, the Sasquatch, and the skinwalker, and these other types of UFO aliens, the greys and whatnot.
Right.
But we do not have Dogman.
Unless somebody proves us wrong and takes us where we could see one.
That's right. Unless you got a story, call us. And on that note, we want you to hit that subscribe button. And if you have that story, get in touch with us at latenightwithlarry55@gmail.com. Anyway,
well, since you mentioned Bigfoot tracks, I have a friend I work with. He's a Navajo man. Now, he told me he has a friend with property in McGaffey.
Right.
Which is what we talked about on our last podcast, the Zuni Mountains.
Right.
Anyway, he was out there with his friend, and there's snow on the ground. They came across some, what he said were Bigfoot tracks, and he showed me the pictures he took on his phone. Now, I couldn't, he wouldn't send them to me, so I couldn't really blow them up and look at them closer. But they looked legitimate from what I saw. And his friend claims to see them on his property.
Well, and that's the thing. If you look at footprints, you got to really analyze them closely, because there's so many times that I've been watching documentaries or even looking at photos where people, and they get debunked because they're bear prints.
Right.
Because it's the bear steps print on print. And they look like big prints with toes, yeah. And but in this part of the country, I know that we do have the Sasquatches, so
right.
I'm not going to say he's totally crazy. I mean, it's possible.
Right. Now, one thing to look out for, especially this time of year when you come across prints, is they should be fresh. If they're not fresh, it's almost impossible to tell. With a little bit of snow melt,
Right.
it exaggerates them. It gets rid of a lot of the detail.
It does. It does.
You really can't tell if there was another foot inside another print, because when they start melting, you do lose the detail.
Right now, if you show me melted prints that are big, I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, that's cool, but let's try and get them when the snow's fresh.
Right. Now, I came across another. I guess you could say it was a documentary. It was just a gentleman. I follow him on several social media platforms, and he was talking about different kinds of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, whatever, different kinds of prints. Now, the theory that he brought up was the Sasquatch, which he referred to as the true giants. Now, when you have a Sasquatch print, the toes are spread out a little bit more.
That's correct.
And the Bigfoot, he said the Bigfoot has more human DNA.
Damn coronavirus.
So sorry. So their prints are more human-like. Their toes are closer together. And I guess I never really noticed that. Then I went back and did some research, and the ones found prior to Patterson Gimlin, those toes were close together.
Wow.
Now, I believe what was his name, Freeman? Now, I believe his prints, the toes were spread out more.
Right. Here's my take on that, Vince. I mean, these creatures, they're like we went back. Let's go back a couple of episodes back, and we were talking about, do they have different races? I mean, yes, I believe that there's clans out there. No, we're not saying they're in the millions, their population, but I believe there's small clans, just like there were Native American clans that were small.
Right.
And they have their different features. Some may have the feet as they walk wide. Some may have it close together. I'm not going to say that that's one feature that defines one species from the other. I don't believe that. I think it's just the bloodline.
Well, yeah, that was just a theory that was presented, so I thought it was interesting.
It was, but that's my argument for it.
Now you say there's different races. Now, are we talking like the three-legged race, the gunny sack race?
Well, yeah, we're talking about that's what we're talking about.
That's what I want to get in on.
Yeah, and we're saying we want to watch two of them tie their leg together, and because they're so big, run down the path. But no, and what I truly meant, what I mean by races is, we always hear that they look so different when they're spotted, and their behaviors are so different, and their colors are so different.
Right.
I've even heard people that have seen sightings up close, and they say their eye pigment is different. Some have kind of like humanish. Some have hazel eyes, blue eyes, and I'm like, no way. But yeah, I'm thinking they all have brown eyes because they're all full of shit. But
possibly.
But no, I've heard that, and I'm like, damn, that's crazy.
But I believe they do have human features, because I've heard stories saying that they see some and they look almost like, Down syndrome.
Well, I've heard that too.
So I'm guessing we're talking about the clans. Maybe if they're in a remote area, there's a lot of inbreeding.
I was just going to say that. So if these ones that look Down syndrome like, maybe they are. I mean, because if they have human DNA mixed in with them and they do that type of inbreeding, of course they're going to feel the effects the same as humans do.
Right, exactly.
And if humans do that, you start getting the Down syndrome and
other birth defects.
Yes. So I'm going to take it that people that have seen squatches and say, well, it looked like it had Down syndrome. I'm going to say, well, they're inbreeding within their clan.
Right. Now, as far as the clan size, I believe the clan size, just like any other animal, it depends on the resources available. Now, if there's not a whole lot of resources, the clans will stay relatively small.
Well, and it's not inbreeding. We're not saying inbreeding as a bad thing because, like my brother said, the resources available. Let's say this clan is segregated and they're away from other clans, and we're talking 100 miles away, and they're in the deepest remote parts of our country, in the mountainous areas, and there's no one else to breed with. Survival says they're going to breed with themselves.
Right. Well, not with themselves, but...
Well, you know what I mean, within the clan.
Well, I was going to say also, I've traveled over 100 miles to see.
Well,
but that's different.
I bred with myself. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
But anyway, another interesting point that was brought up about footprints, whatever you want to talk about is...
Yeah.
One person said, now I haven't researched this. He said, like down in the rainforest where those tribes, no other human contact, they still dress, however, fig leaf, no shoes.
Right.
He said when they go their whole life without wearing shoes, their feet or their toes are really spread out more.
They are. And like I was telling my brother, a couple summers ago, if any of you are familiar with the hippie shoes that came out where they were separate toes, you slid your feet into the shoe, and they were a big popular thing back then, and you had each toe went into a slot. I wore those for a summer, and I wore them up in the mountain when we went trail hiking and whatnot, and damn, I noticed a difference. I did. They were the most amazing shoes. But a lot of people won't wear them because they think, oh, well, no, we got to wear these shoes that compact our feet together. But no, those shoes gave me more balance, right. More everything.
Right, and the toes are a big part of your balance.
So I could see that tribes and creatures that are bipedal and don't wear shoes, that they would leave prints like that because, of course, and as I walked in those shoes, and these are shoes, they kind of constricted, but my feet dug into the ground. It was crazy. I was like, wow. But I did love them. I loved them.
Yep, and that was just an argument posed as for someone who don't believe in Bigfoot, because they say all these prints, their toes are either together or just barely spread out apart, whereas if they never wore shoes, his argument was the toes should be spread out further.
I mean, but even let's look at the print. Where are they stepping? I mean, the environment, everything has to do. If they're in sand, they're going to be wider to grip.
Right.
If they're in a dense forest area, they may be closer just to walk through the marsh. I mean, our toes would do the same.
Right.
So, but that's a good theory. I mean, not trying to debunk anyone, but let's look at everything objectively, folks.
Right. And like I said, I didn't do any research on the Amazon tribes and their feet, but right. I don't know, it was an interesting point. And
that, I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, our own tribes here, I mean, around this area, when they ran around barefoot, I guarantee they're in sand. Where we live, it's a lot of sand. So their feet were open, grabbing, so that they could get traction and pull. Only when we put shoes on them that they did this.
Yeah, yeah. Now, where we're at, we haven't come across a lot of prints ourselves. We've come across some in the snow. I came across one in the mud, but the mud was mostly the heel and like the little toe, like maybe the last two toes.
Right.
But where we go, there's, especially if we have a good winter, it's real grassy, so it's hard to find prints.
No, I mean, it is, but when we were up in the Jemez and we were doing your drone footage, we found some damn good prints.
Yeah.
Damn good prints. And I do believe, no, I don't think we ever showed those.
No?
No.
You never passed them on?
No, but I showed my, I guess I call him my son-in-law, and he was like, holy shit. Their philosophy down where he lives is like, here in New Mexico, we're desert. We don't have these creatures. And I said, no, that's where you're mistaken, because up near Colorado, we got mountains. And where we go, we got mountains. And that's where they probably travel through. I was watching on Gaia. I don't know how many of you watch Gaia with George Nori and his awesome program. He has Beyond Belief. And I was watching some early episodes, and he was talking to a gentleman, and he verified what I said about Bigfoot. He said these creatures travel the mountain ranges so that they could be undetected, because we as civilized people, we're here in the cities. We never, ever go hang out in the mountain ranges. That's for all the wildlife, and he verified my thought and my theory. He said, yes, these creatures travel the mountain ranges. They follow the game trails, and that's how they survive.
Right.
And I was like, thank you.
Yeah, and we've talked about that before.
Yes.
Now, we've heard, even from a park ranger, that where we go, there's a brother and sister. They said they stay there all year round, but see, in the Jemez, there's no reason to live. I mean, leave.
I was going to say, no reason to live? Why do we go? No, and my brother's right. Those creatures, the Squatches that habitat that area, they have no reason to leave. There's plenty of game. I mean, plenty.
Water
There's plenty
everywhere.
of water everywhere. They don't have to travel far to get game, water.
And the winters are relatively mild compared to, say, the Rocky Mountains.
They are mild.
And the best thing for them is all winter long, everything up there's locked up, no humans.
No, and that's right. So from certain months throughout the year, these creatures have roam of the land, because no one's allowed to go here or there. The roads are closed off. They pull the gate and they lock them, and they could just run amok. If I was a Bigfoot, why would I want to leave there?
Right.
I'm like, I only got to deal with these assholes 2-3 months out of the year. Right,
exactly. And most of the time, they could sneak around the camps undetected, because we always talk about this. We hate when we get a group of campers next to us who are loud, got the music blaring, they're getting drunk. So, one, they're going to scare off anything. Two, anything that comes in the area, we're not going to hear it.
Yeah, you're right.
We've experienced that before, because we went camping on a 3-night, not a 3-hour tour like Gilligan, a 3-night excursion. The first 2 nights were perfect. We had activity both nights,
right?
Good activity. The third night is when we had the noisy neighbors, and that's when it was a total bust.
It went dead silent. Now, these creatures, they're not stupid. They've seen us come into their territory and their domain and act stupid like we do. So of course they're going to go dormant, quiet, and say, let them leave and we'll continue. Or they just go on to another area, hunting, gathering, whatever they do.
Right.
They're like, nope, idiots over here. Let's go 180 degrees.
Yep. And over there where we go, even in the summer months when they open up the camping and stuff, it's not always open.
No.
And there's still a good part of that mountain range that's off limits to people all the time.
A lot of it's off limits to us all the time. But these creatures, they, when we go out there, we happen to get lucky, I guess. But, I could see how these creatures would want to avoid us, because we are just, we go out there. Now, I'm not saying us, because we've witnessed a lot of people that go out there.
Right.
And we just, what the biggest problem is? People go out there and they just litter and they leave it. I could imagine these creatures walk through the campground after we're done, and they just think, what is wrong with these people?
Right. It's kind of like a dog coming through and pooping
right
on your lawn.
I mean, come on, people. Anyway, these creatures are real. They're out there, and we've had our experiences.
Right.
And I wish more people would just kind of respect that, but they don't.
Well, even off the Bigfoot topic, they should respect the mountains.
Well, but they don't.
My point is, it's not your property, so don't litter.
No, and we've been out to the mountains how many times? And now where we go, it's pristine because no one goes there.
Right.
But we go through the normal places where people camp and they just leave litter everywhere. Yeah, I'm gonna say who gives a fuck, but yeah, people, come on, keep it clean.
Right. You pack it in, pack it out.
Pack it out, man. Leave it for your grandchildren.
Right. Yep. And it's the wildlife. I know it bugs me to see pictures like in the lakes and stuff with ducks with the 6-pack ring around their neck.
No, that's
and,
fucking bullshit.
yeah, it is.
Anyway, we're going off tangent, and we're going on to our other podcast, which is environmental awareness.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Fracking, yes or no?
I've fracked all my life. Wait, what'd you say? Frack? Oh, no, okay. But anyway, yeah. So my thing was, when I saw that post on Facebook, and they were really, everyone's getting down saying it's Skinwalker, it's a Dogman. It wasn't. It's a bear. And I said, I'm going to tell my brother this, because people, it's amazing how people will just throw up anything and say, this is what it is, and they want to blow it up. But no, do what we do. Go out to the forest and look for it.
Right.
I mean, we've seen things and we're like, no, that's not it.
Right. And a lot of these people in these groups, some of them have had some time out in the wilderness, but a lot of them have not. So they're there for entertainment, and right away, oh wow, that's a Bigfoot track.
90% have not been in the forest.
Right. And yeah, I forgot where I was going with it.
I don't know. Well, we kind of had a few beers before, so that's why you forgot. But the thing is, when you go out into the forest, and if you're going to make a claim that something's out there, be sure it's out there.
Right.
I mean,
proof. You need proof.
Proof, not just proof, just
right. And if you're going to try to trick people, you will be able to trick a lot of people, but
you'll be able to trick the person that can look at a footprint and say, no, that's a bear, because a bear steps on its own print.
Right.
Makes it look longer, bigger, but I was like, no, that's
people who've done their own research will figure you out. And that was my next point about these Sasquatch groups. I'm in several of them on Facebook, and I just have to laugh, because they'll throw up a picture of the forest, and they'll say, look right there, can you see the face? And all I see is a bunch of leaves.
That's all I see too. I see so much of that shit.
It's just people, the power of the mind, they want to see, so they do see something.
But you know what? Like, I'm a true believer in let's go to the forest. My brother's with me on that. Let's go to the forest. Let's go out there. Let's park. Let's set up. It sucks that we're our age, because we say let's set up the camp, but God bless, we lay in those. It's hard laying on the ground at our age.
Yeah,
but we do it.
Yeah,
we do it.
And the worst part is, we can never find level ground.
But we do. We'll set up our tents. We'll get out there, and we'll stick it out.
We'll freeze our butts off.
Yes, we will. But we're out there to listen. And
but we've also come across some cool things.
Good evidence that me and him. I mean, we tell you about it, but you could either believe it or you don't have to, because we're the ones that were out there freezing our ass off, experiencing it.
And before we tell you about it, we usually talk about it first to make sure it wasn't something else.
We do. We're like, should we tell them, or should we discuss this?
Yeah, just like the prints, we looked at them several times before we even decided to tell anybody.
And we did, and I showed them to my son-in-law, and he was like, holy shit. And here's the thing, my son-in-law he's down south. We're here in Albuquerque, so I'm just going to say he's down south. I'm not going to give his location away. I mean, let me just say he's close to El Paso. But they didn't think, him and his friends down there, they didn't think we had that type of creature up here. They said, it's all desert up there. I'm like, yeah, where we live, it's desert, sand and whatnot. But where me and my brother go, it's forest.
We're actually...
It's high mountain forest.
Right. We're actually right on the border, because a lot of everything to the south is sand.
It is. I
No.
gotcha.
But you go north from here, and it's still desert, but it's considered high desert, and that's where we get the mountains.
And they call it high desert, and the reason is because once we leave a certain elevation, we tend to go off and we go through the Hamish tribe. That's our people.
That's us.
Us. That's our Dene. And we go through the Hamish tribe. Once we leave the Hamish tribe, we start hitting like red clay. And, the philosophy is the clay in the ground is red because this is where the battle was fought for the land. It's the blood of those that shed it. And that's why the clay's red. Whatever. Well, we climb that and we go even further up to the mountains. And that's where we get pine trees that grow tall, lakes, streams,
bunch of wildlife,
hot springs.
Now, one time I went. I like to ride my motorcycle up there. I went through the village in Hamish Springs. I went up. There's a lake on top of the mountain. Right before I hit the lake, I ran into snow on my motorcycle. So once I hit the lake, I turned around. I was soaking wet. I was freezing. It was snowing. 10, 15 minutes to get down?
Yeah.
I got down.
No, to get down, it's at least 30, 40 minutes.
Well, I mean, just to Hamish Springs.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm like, because we're up there, Vince. We're in elevation.
No, Hamish Springs is at the foot of the mountain, so maybe a little longer. But I came down, and by the time from Hamish Springs, by the time I hit the Pueblo, it was so hot and dry, it dried me off, and I was warm again.
Right.
That's just how different 30 minutes could be.
Well, let me just say this. Last July, we were up there, like my brother said, when we packed it down for 3 days. It's July, mid-July. We kept the fire rolling all night, but I froze my ass off.
It still wasn't warm enough.
Wasn't warm enough. I was freezing. I had to get up and stand by the fire. We're talking July, people. That's how high the elevation is.
I actually burnt my tent because I got too close because I was freezing.
He did. He put his tent close to the fire, thinking he's going to stay warm.
Now, mid-July, when we woke up in the morning, the pickup had frost on the windows.
It did. That's why I'm telling you, that's the type of elevation we go to look for these creatures. And those creatures, they don't let us down.
Right. Now,
I mean, we've been up there many times, and they let us know, hey, we see you, dumbasses.
Right. Now, you said earlier maybe we're lucky, but I think we got lucky and found a good spot.
Yeah.
Because there's a game trail, there's a lake.
There's the lake, there's a game trail, and there's a fishery. All within where we camp, Vince. And no, I mean, people probably think, no, they're down here in their city life, mid-July. They're like, no, it's 100 degrees. No. Where we go,
and another
freezing.
thing, Albuquerque's surrounded by mountains. Albuquerque's so hot because Albuquerque's down in a hole.
That's right. But let's take it back again. Where we go year after year, even in July, you need a jacket. You need blankets. It's cold.
Yeah, it is. It's freezing. And but that's we've had some excellent luck out there.
We have.
Now, things would be very different if, say, one of us never moved here from Gallup.
Yeah,
because we probably wouldn't have ventured up there.
No, and that's why we say if you're from out of state, give us a shout out. Let us know, and if you want to go and try camping out there, we'll take you.
Or we'll give you coordinates.
Yeah, no, I will go with you, and we'll just do it like me and my brother do it, and you'll listen. You'll either look up in the sky and you'll see some UFO activity because you'll be like, why is that star moving back and forth?
That we've seen some crazy stuff in the skies, but that's a different podcast.
Or you're going to hear something that you can't explain, which I have done many times.
And if they're close enough, you're going to hear something that scares the crap out of you.
He's right. No joke. Anyway, that's what we wanted to talk about tonight, and we hope you enjoyed it.
Yep. We started off with the Prince, but, there's just so much to talk about when we talk about Bigfoot.
I mean, we could go on and go on, but we warned you tonight that we're just going on a tangent.
Right.
So We appreciate you listening, and come back and always subscribe. Before we go, we want you to listen to this little advertisement from one of our sister podcasters.
Fire Breathing Kittens.
That's right. Just give them a listen before you leave. And you'll hear our exit music, and then you could leave. But anyway, check them out.
Yeah, check them out. Listen to them. Listen to what they have to say, what they're talking about.
That's right.
I know a lot of people. Well, I know my son and his friends are really into the stuff they podcast about.
And that's fine, because you know what? We're one genre. They're different.
Right.
But we told them we'll introduce them to you.
To you.
You. Anyway, peace out.
Peace.
Peace.
Are you itching for a good story? Laughter among friends, maybe even a mystery or two? Well, you're in luck. Fire Breathing Kittens is a standalone Dungeons & Dragons podcast. Each episode is a separate 3-hour-long story, like a movie for your ears, so you can listen to these adventures in any order you like. So, join us on a real play D&D quest as we solve mysteries, attempt comedic banter, and enjoy friendship. Fire Breathing Kittens podcast. Fantasy, action, mystery, friendship.